Ask the expert. Ask the expert. Ask the expert. They'll know what to do. Ask the expert. Ask the expert. Ask the expert. They'll know what to do.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Ask the Expert, an online video series hosted by the Rediscovery Centre. I'm Ed from the Rediscovery Centre, and today we're going to focus on all things cycling. It is such a popular subject at the moment. Everybody's talking about it, and we've had loads of questions through our social media or through people who have come into the shop. They're all looking to buy a bike. They're asking questions about how to get back on their bike. Maybe they have a bike and they haven't been on it in a while, or maybe they're starting cycling for the very first time. So to deal with these questions, where better to turn than our own Rediscover cycling department? It's a social enterprise, and it is headed by our program manager for Rediscover Cycling. As just like Freddie Mercury, he likes to ride his bicycle, he likes to ride his bike. It's Mark Dunn. Hiya, Mark.
Hey, how you going?
How are you? So, Mark, we got loads and loads of questions. Cycling, it's such a hot topic at the moment, and it's popular because it's so good. It's such a great thing to get into because it can be fast. You can get from A to B a lot quicker than if you're in rush hour traffic, sitting on a bus or in a car. It's healthy for you. Burns a lot of calories getting to and from work. Of course, it's sustainable. It's environmentally friendly instead of driving or whatnot. And people are asking the question about it now more than ever because of COVID, right? And what's a good option is maybe to get the bicycle. So
Definitely.
What are your thoughts on it?
You can definitely see a big rise in people wanting to cycle to work, especially because there's fewer cars on the road. Even at rush hour, it's not as bad as it normally is. And you just have that great independence. Like if the bus was full, you can still ride your bike and you can get anywhere you want to be. So it's an ideal time for it to try it out, especially.
Yeah. Well, look, we got a couple of questions that were sent into us, and they're both actually they both come up quite a lot. So it's good. They're actually great questions. I love this one. This first one is from James. He said, after predominantly being a car user for many years, I was a little nervous about the idea of cycling. I have recently made the plunge and bought a new bike so that I can cycle to and from work more often. But he says, I'm still a little tentative about busier roads and staying safe. Do you have any safety tips for anyone starting off? Now, I love this question because I can relate to it. I've been cycling to work over 10 years now, I think, but I still remember so well the very first time that I got on the bike. I was living in Marino, I was working in the city centre, and the very first cycle that I did, I was on the footpath the entire way. I was too nervous to go on the road. Now, in 10 years, the roads have come on quite a lot, right? I mean, it's a lot more accessible for cyclists. But ultimately, in your experience, I mean, we both cycle to work. It takes me about 10 minutes. It takes you about how long?
55 minutes some mornings.
So quite a lot of difference there. You see a lot more of the road than I do. But tell us what some of your safety tips for people who want to kind of take that plunge and are finding it quite nervous.
The main advice I'd give would be to practice on quiet roads or large paths in some of the parks like St. Anne's or Phoenix Park. Practice like your emergency stops, practice starting the bike and stopping the bike, just so all of that is really second nature. So when you're out on the road and the lights turn, you're not having to think about what you do. It's just second nature to go on, change your gears. You don't want any of that to be a new experience while you're also out on the road contending for space. The other thing would be as patient as you can. If you're trying to get through lights, if you're trying to rush, you're more likely to make a mistake and cycle quite defensively, as it's called, where you take the space that you need to make sure that if someone wants to pass you too close, you can move in a little bit to give yourself a bit more space. If you're right up against the curb and someone passes too close, there's not much space for you to move away from it.
Another one is actually don't be using your mobile while you're cycling too. Okay, great. Well, hopefully that helped. Thank you very much, James, for asking that, and best luck getting on your bike. Next question is, this question came in a few times, and it was phrased almost exactly the same way, and that was that people had stupidly left their bike out outside over the winter, and now they've got all sorts of problems. There's a bit of rust there, their brakes have seized up, the chain is a bit stiff. So what is their best step? They want to know, is it gone for good? Is it beyond repair? Do they need to buy a new one, or is it actually repairable? Let's take one example here. We have a couple of photographs sent in from Simone. So if we look at this bike here, Mark, talk us through this one. So what are your thoughts on it?
This one doesn't look too bad. Like, a lot of the rust is mostly superficial. Chains get rusty very easily, and it's easily taken off with a wire brush. It's not always going to seize up straight away or damage the other parts. So if it's still moving okay, it's okay if it looks a bit rusty. The main problem is usually the cable seizing up a bit. If you get any kind of oil into where the cable meets the housing, where it's passing through that part, and if that gets it moving again, it'll keep you going for a little bit longer. But ultimately, the cables do need to be replaced often enough. It's an inexpensive repair and something that you can learn to do. It's one of the things we cover in the courses that we do here. But if some larger parts, say the seat post or the handlebars, have seized into the frame, then kind of the ultimate life of the bike is quite short. So it may be more cost effective to get a replacement, like a second-hand bike, like the ones we do here. It wouldn't take much. If you have to replace some of the larger parts of the bike, the cost of a bike here would be the same, and they've been fully reconditioned, make sure that nothing is stuck into them. If your frame is quite rusty, we tend to, if it's just like a spot of rust, we'll take it down with some sandpaper and then cover it up with a bit of nail polish. It's a lot of the time it's essentially the same as spray paint. And with spray paint, you really want to have stripped the bike down completely, because if you paint a part into the bike, you're just kind of making it harder down the line to repair it. I've seen more bad spray paint jobs than good spray paint jobs, so it's kind of hard to do a good one.
Great, thanks, Mark. And that actually takes us nicely then to just a final point here, which is a couple of people asked us, can we take their old bikes? Which is a kind of a complicated no, I suppose, is the answer. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about the background to Rediscover Cycling, how the process actually works, and then what the products are that we're selling in the shop at the moment?
Our main source for the bikes that we recondition are from the S3 Recycling Centre up in Swords. So they have a container there that any bikes come in, they set aside for us, and we can go through them, and anything that's beyond repair, we can take any other parts that we can use, and we can send the rest for recycling. But the majority of the bikes we'll bring back here, we'll completely remanufacture, we'll break them down and build them back up again. And everything from kids' bikes to adults' bikes will sell on again in the Eco Store.
And they are a fraction. The cost of them are a fraction of what they'd be worth brand new. And we do have a small selection. So if anybody's interested, if they go on to rediscoverycentre.ie and go to the shop, they can see what's in store at the moment. But you're constantly working on bringing new bikes into the shop, Mark, aren't you?
Yeah. We've got lots of bikes coming in, lots of bikes going out. It's getting them through the workshop is the difficult bit. Yeah, super. Well, look, thanks very much for taking a few minutes to answer the questions. Hopefully they've been useful and helpful to the people who are listening. And keep an eye as well for any of the workshops that Mark has coming up. He spoke about them just there a few minutes ago, but if you go to rediscoverycentre.ie and also look at some of the courses that are coming up, he's doing some online courses, he's doing some in-person courses over the next few months. So anybody wanting to upskill themselves on their bike knowledge might be able to pick up a few tips by attending some of them courses. So I think I'll leave it there, Mark. Thanks very much for your time. Cool, thank you.
I'll talk to you later. Thanks.
See you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Ask the expert. Ask the expert. Ask the expert. They'll know what to do. Ask the expert. Ask the expert. Ask the expert. They'll know what to do.